Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of CPR, live from the swamp. Tell me, and I want you to really tell me, how are we doing today? Genuinely. I wanna know from y'all personally, right? Because realistically, y'all could tell me anything, and I'd probably believe it. You could tell me that your cat died. You could tell me that your dog got ran over, and I'd probably be like, damn, that sucks. I hope the best for you. So I really want to know, how y'all feeling? Oh, decent? Mediocre? I'm used to that. I got a couple mediocre people in my life, to being real. But how about this? Professor TK only tolerates exceptional. So it would be exceptional if y'all gave me a follow, a like, and check out my socials. TKC everywhere you go. But regardless, I want to make sure we understand something. It's the holiday time, right? It's the festivals. It's the season of love, you could say. So that means we got a couple things to talk about, right? Because too often during this season, right? Too often have I noticed folks tend to cling on to their lovers, whether they're past or present, regardless of if they're good for them or not. And here's what I have to say. Cut it out. Cut it out. It's not good for you. Because here's my point. If you guys have already established that you might not see eye to eye with each other, right? You're growing, they're complacent, they're changing, they're moving, they're going on to different stages in their lives. Why would you try to still hold love for that person knowing that they've moved on in their life? Doesn't make sense, does it? You can't keep holding on to the past, brother and sister. I'm talking to you. Yeah, you. You still holding on to that old fling. You still holding on to that old person. Well, brother and sister, they've moved on. And they've moved on happily. They've done whatever they wanted to do with their lives to feel better about themselves. You can't keep doubting yourself. But at the same time, maybe, and just maybe, a part of you still misses that old person. The person you once were. The person you once were when you were with that person. Maybe you felt confident. Maybe you felt enlightened. Maybe you felt like that person could have given you everything. Well, I understand that. Trust me, TK understands that. But at the same time, I also understand what it means to grow, change, and reflect on the things that are important to you. So if you haven't taken the mental energy, if you haven't taken the mental reps, you could say, because your brain is a muscle, just like everything else in your life. You can't treat it with discontent. You can't treat it like it doesn't matter to you. No. Your brain matters just as much as the muscles you physically have. Doesn't matter how big and bronze you are. If you don't have that mental clarity, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, the day got it in. No, but I'm serious. When things are said and done, when other people are looking into your situation, right? Let's say you are in a long-lasting relationship and you're genuinely looking for change, looking for a person who can complete you. You can't look for love, fellas, sisters. You can't look for love. You got to look for alignment. All right? Now, alignment shows up in different ways. A lot of us think that alignment means that people are going to naturally fall into your rhythm. But they're only going to naturally fall into your rhythm if you do the steps in order for that to happen. They're not going to just fall into your lap and be like, oh, well, I've been wanting love. Where am I going to find it? You're not going to find it, brother. Trust me. You're not going to find it, sister. Because you're still not doing the things that you need to do on your part to make sure you're your complete self. If you're not loving yourself, If you're not cherishing your own nature, your own mental, your own soul, then baby, I can't help you. I cannot help you. And whoever you're trying to get with, whoever you're trying to pursue, also cannot help you. You have to understand it takes two. It takes two to understand how much somebody truly has on your heart. It's okay to acknowledge the past. Nobody says it isn't. But it's harboring in that pain, it's harboring in that grief. Because just like losing a loved one, losing a friend, family, pets, losing a lover, losing a relationship is grief. And there's different stages of grief. We can't act like there isn't. But at the same time, it's up to you. It's up to you to determine what you do with that. Do you contort back in the box that that same lover put you in, or do you rise above it? Because people are already going to have different interpretations from the outsider's perspective. You don't think word gets around? It doesn't matter if it's accurate word. It doesn't matter if the word actually is true to your situation, true to your nature or character even. That word is still going to get out there. And so you have to ask yourself, do you want your name to be defended? Or are you going to defend it yourself? Are you going to defend your name yourself? Because nobody else is going to do it in the way that you feel you deserve, right? And that could mean pursuing your own endeavors, whether you have a clothing brand, whether you have an artistic page where you draw and produce, whether you're just a passionate person. That was always you at your core. But somewhere along that path, you let others influence that for you. Nah, sister, you can't be doing that. Because that person is going to move on regardless, regardless of if they healed or not. And that's not on you to figure out. That's not on you to help heal. It wasn't on you to begin with to try to fix this person. That's where the mistake happened. You tried to fix this person. And because you noticed that nobody else was going to see your pain in the way that you thought that they did, you held on. You held on to comfort. And you created a void around your essence. That same person that everybody once knew now became associated with a ghost, became associated with a phantom pain. Whoa! And it sucks, right? It sucks more so not just for you, but because a lot of people don't realize they wear their heart on their sleeves. And so when they get in moments of self-reflection, they like to channel that moment outwards, when really that work comes from inside. That's when the true alignment shows up. That's when love can finally start to spread its roots. When you don't do that, then you're just running around this world hoping that somebody notices your pain. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to care. But the right ones are going to see if you're actually healed. Because a lot of people can move on. A lot of people can move on from their relationships, but they choose not to. Because it takes self-discipline, a muscle that they only developed when they were in that relationship. And so now not having it, now not having that comfort feels like that discipline also went with it. No. We all had discipline once in our lives, whether it was taking the trash out, walking the dog, taking a shit when you need to, right? Or even for the women out there, and I'm sorry, y'all, if I'm calling you out, but when you're taking a pee, right? You've been taught that you need to keep your posture, keep, everything together, right? And so you keep that inside. Even if you got to go, unless you're comfortable in that space, you're not going to take a piss. And I understand that sucks. That really sucks. But also, we can't act as if that didn't activate some sort of discipline, however ridiculous it might have been. And so this goes to me, to you. If you gotta go, you gotta go. Whether it's taking a piss, whether it's taking a dump. This isn't the first time I brought up taking a dump, right? And this also isn't the first time I brought up relationships on this channel. Relationships are a tricky topic. They're not bullshit, right? But they are complicated. Because yes, it takes two to tango, but after that, after the dust has settled, it's not as if people aren't looking at you still, but they're looking at the echo of what that person left behind. So what are you going to do with that echo? Are you going to contort into what you think that person wanted you to be? Or are you going to rise above it? Are you going to rise above the room? Because if you rise above the room, people are going to notice. People are going to take note. Like, oh, I like that. I like what that man is doing. I like what that woman is doing. But I don't know if they're still attached to another person. I don't want. Here's what it is. I don't want that person to be my second choice. I don't want that person to claim me as their second option. I want to be desired. And baby, you are. Trust me, you are. But at the same time, we can't act like pain doesn't exist. We all have different ways of expressing it. That doesn't mean that I don't love you. That doesn't mean that I'm not in alignment with how I feel about you. But it also means that you can't judge a brother for how he goes about expressing himself. You know, we can critique, we can analyze, we can do all these type of things, but we can't judge. Because when we judge, we do it with eyes that hold hate, hold envy, hold jealousy. Even me, right? I've been there. I've been at a point where I felt like the world was watching me suffer. The world was watching me feel as though I was attached to a person that didn't hold any space in my life anymore. So much to the point where other people would compare me to other people's shadows, other people who couldn't actually heal from their trauma. Brother, get a grip. Get a grip on yourself and your situation. Because now you become the unfortunate example you get compared to. Because people feel comfortable in your misery. It sucks. And it also means that people can't move on. But regardless, it's still what you got to do. Healing is ugly. Healing is very, very, very ugly. But it's true. It's true to your nature. It's true to your soul. And it's true to your identity of whatever you want to pursue. Whether it's art. Whether it's doctoral degrees, right? Whether it's just continuing your educational path. Regardless of what you do in your spare time. Regardless of what you do for your career. You have to know that that person might have inspired you. That person might have been an influence in your life, but they weren't the catalyst. They weren't what inspired you to keep going. Because if they were, they would have still been here. If they were, you wouldn't be thinking about them in the same way you are now. So with that being said, love yourself. Because ain't nobody gonna do it for you. It's the season of love, baby. And you're only going to be able to love if you kick those demons in the head and say, no, you don't control me. Only I control me. It has been your host, Professor TK, from the swamp. And I will catch you next time. Peace. And remember, the Toad King rises.